The sound of a single gunshot shattered the stillness of a crisp autumn evening, echoing through the quiet streets of a small town in Ohio. Just moments later, a young woman's life would be cut tragically short, leaving a community and a family to grapple with heartbreak and a cold, unrelenting mystery. Her name was 21-year-old Ashley McCarty. Bright and ambitious, Ashley was known for her infectious laugh and spirited determination. She had dreams that reached far beyond the borders of her small town, a future filled with possibility. Yet on that fateful night in October 2010, everything changed. Ashley had just returned home from her job at a local diner. She was a familiar face, beloved by customers and coworkers alike. Efficient, friendly, always quick with a smile. That night she was supposed to meet up with friends. Instead, her parents found her lifeless body sprawled in the living room of their modest home, a single bullet wound to her chest. In the days that followed, the news of Ashley's murder sent shockwaves through the close-knit community of Mount Gilead. The investigation kicked off with urgency. Detectives interviewed friends, family, and associates, piecing together the fragments of Ashley's last days. Who could want to harm such a vibrant young woman? Why would someone commit such a violent act? The detectives quickly learned of Ashley's rocky romantic history. She had been involved with a man named Kyle, charming yet unpredictable, whom she had recently broken up with. Eyewitnesses reported seeing him near her house on the night of the murder, a detail that set off alarm bells. Law enforcement tracked him down, but Kyle had an alibi that kept him clear of the crime. As the tally of potential suspects grew, investigators expanded their search. They examined Ashley's social media presence, reviewed her communications, and dug into her life, eager to find clues that could lead them to her killer. They unearthed a web of connections, friends, acquaintances, and a few enemies, but each lead seemed to vanish into thin air. In the tension-filled weeks that followed, a sense of fear settled over Mount Gilead. How could such a horrific crime take place in this peaceful community? Neighbors exchanged wary glances, and parents kept their children close. There were whispers of a possible stalker, rumors that rattled through the town like echoes in an empty hall. Yet nothing concrete surfaced that could put the mind at ease or bring Ashley's family closure. The investigation took a chilling turn when a garage door repairman, called to the McCarty home to fix a broken panel, discovered a gun hidden in the bushes outside. The weapon was sent for analysis, and it turned out to be the same caliber used in Ashley's murder. Police were hopeful. It felt like they were on the cusp of a breakthrough. But hope quickly turned to despair when the trace of the gun led them to a dead end. It had been stolen from an unlocked vehicle weeks earlier, making it impossible to link it definitively to anyone. With leads dwindling, the case began to stagnate. Investigators pushed forward, but days turned to weeks and weeks to months. Ashley's family held on to hope, attending community vigils and rallying the public's support for justice. They wore shirts emblazoned with her image and raised funds for a reward, urging anyone with information to come forward. The town's collective grief intertwined with their persistence, but still, no new evidence emerged. As time wore on, the memories of Ashley's life began to fade for some, but not for her family. They remained resolute, even as frustration mounted with an investigation that felt like it was ghosting them. Every holiday became an unbearable reminder of the void left behind. The pain turned to anger, and questions hung heavy in the air. Who would do this? Would Ashley ever get justice? The year after the murder, an unusual twist emerged. A man named Tyler, recently released from prison after serving time for unrelated charges, came forward claiming involvement in Ashley's murder. He told police a story of a drug deal gone wrong, something that seemed plausible enough to warrant further investigation. The situation was complicated, convoluted, messy, a possible confession full of vague details. Yet Tyler's account changed when pressed for specific information. He recanted his story, and detectives found no evidence tying him to the crime. As the years passed, Ashley's case began to feel cold. Her family left to navigate their grief, steeped in unanswered questions. The case was officially entered into Ohio's unsolved homicide database, joining countless others that stretched for decades, each story lingering like whispered shadows under the surface. But in 2019, a glimmer of hope emerged. a new detective took over the case, with a passion for closure that brought renewed energy. He reopened the investigation, retracing old steps and reviewing evidence with fresh eyes. He reached out to the public once more, making a new appeal for information. The townsfolk rallied again, bringing Ashley's story back into the spotlight. Yet, despite renewed enthusiasm and the promise of new technologies like forensic advancements on old evidence, the case remained unsolved. Each lead, each tip, ended like the last, a tantalizing glimpse into the possibility of justice, but ultimately slipping away. To this day, the mystery of Ashley McCarty's death lingers heavily over Mount Gilead. Her family continues to seek closure, carrying her memory into every day. The question remains, who pulled the trigger that fateful night? Why has justice eluded Ashley and her loved ones for so long? As you reflect on this story, consider the families left behind when a life is violently taken. Think of the questions that haunt them each day, the battle against time to find answers. And remember, on the streets where Ashley once laughed brightly, there are still shadows lingering, waiting for light, waiting for truth.